Do you want to be more depressed than you already are? Then you're in the right place, because today we're going to be going over how to get into Radiohead. I'm going to give you guys a couple different starting points. The second half of this video will be almost all playlists that I made on stream with my chat, and the first half is going to be a couple different albums that you can jump between in order to kind of get a vibe that you're looking for, things like that. I do suggest listening to the albums in full rather than doing the playlist thing, just because they have a coherent theme and vibe throughout them that I feel is kind of lost if you just listen to singles, but you do you. Also, I'd like to mention that these are by no means the way you have to do it and all that. You can jump around however you want. These are just some suggestions based on, if you like something specific about an album, what album to go to next, or if you like certain songs, what songs to go to next, that kind of a thing. All of these methods also allow you to listen to the music at your own pace, so you can figure out exactly how much you want to consume of this shit all at once. Alright, for the first suggestion, this might actually surprise some long-time listeners of Radiohead, but in order. Just listen to it in order. I know that it's kind of controversial to do that because you start with Pablo Honey, which is arguably their worst album. But I think doing it in this way allows you to properly enjoy Pablo Honey for what it is, rather than compare it to what they have from later on. If you've never listened to Radiohead or only heard a couple songs before, do it this way because you might actually enjoy Pablo Honey. And if you do, that's great. But for me and many others who started listening with either In Rainbows or OK Computer or something like that, going back to Pablo Honey feels like you're being shot in the back of the head. That's maybe a little dramatic, but it's just not as good compared to some of their later stuff. It just doesn't quite hold up, in my opinion, compared to the others. It's a fine album. It's more of like a grungy rock kind of album than their other stuff. Also, listening in this way allows you to see the band's growth over time, which I think is pretty cool to see, in my opinion. The real only downside of this method is also just Pablo Honey. If you don't like Pablo Honey and you just don't enjoy it and you're starting to listen to it and you're like, I don't know if I really like this, just skip it. The Benz is a fun album. I'd say it's more similar to Pablo Honey than their other stuff, but it is a big jump in quality compared to Pablo Honey. Almost every song is really good. It shows the band's evolution and how they're starting to get their own groove and their own feel down and their own sound, really. Tom's songwriting really improves here, and overall the band started putting together more just elegant stuff in a way that I feel like they definitely evolve with later on, but this is a good album to see the start of that and see how they are growing and everything like that. And then from here you get OK Computer, which is arguably their best album. A lot of people consider it to be one of the greatest albums of all time in general, which is crazy to think about. This is like the essential Radiohead album. I feel like it's got the most Radiohead sounding sound, and it just has so much to it it's just wonderfully done. A really cool like story throughout, and themes with dealing with society and alienation and the evolution of technology. I have a whole video analyzing the album if you want to check that out. From here you get Kid A, which is a total the biggest left turn in music history, but it's different. It's a little weird. It's a little beat boop. It's tied for first and favorite albums by Radiohead, for me at least. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff to the album. It has such a floaty feel in some of the songs, especially like in Limbo, that just like capture an essence that I really like in music, and it's great. It's a lot of fun. And from here you get kind of a continuation of Kid A's sound with Amnesiac. They were recorded around the same time, so it's kind of a continuation of that vibe. Although it does focus more on like string arrangements and a little bit more guitar than Kid A, I think. I feel like it's a little bit less beat boop, besides a couple songs. There's a couple songs that are more beat boop, but that's whatever. From Amnesiac we go to Hail to the Thief, which is sort of a return to form for the band. They go back into guitar melodies and things like that. I feel like this album is basically a blend of the styles from Kid A and OK Computer, and they kind of just mush them together and make it work. There's still some beat boop, like electronic elements, but they blend it with like cool guitars and cool riffs. I don't know. It's a much rockier album than the last two, especially if you were getting sick of the beat boops or some shit like that. I also just released recently an analysis on this album. You can check that out if you want. In Rainbows, which for me is tied with Kid A for my favorite album by the band, is just an incredibly refined and beautiful experience. It's, in my opinion, the best representation of what Radiohead is, and it's them at their best. It's immensely beautiful and full of raw human emotion, and it's just like, it's a beautiful experience. You really should check it out if you haven't listened to this album in full. I really, really do recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. After this, we have King of Limbs, which is another contender for low-tier Radiohead. A lot of people say this is worse than Pablo Honey or on the same tier as. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there's a lot of cool stuff on this album. It just doesn't sound as refined as their other stuff, in my opinion. I feel like it's just a little bit behind in terms of its development. I feel like if they had more time to work on it or something, it could have been better, or if they just maybe revisited it in a different way. I don't know. It's a good album. It's focused with like drum loops and like a heavier bass. It's very rhythm focused, but like I said, it's considered weaker. It does have its moments though. It's got a lot of cool strings, and fucking Bloom is awesome. Listen to Bloom, it's really cool. After this is their latest album, A Moonshaped Pool. It is by far their saddest album. It's full of string arrangements, and it's really good. It's a really good place that they've left off in. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful album and a great experience. With Radiohead, they've changed their sound a bit over the years, so if you don't want to go in order and would rather listen to something more catered to your personal taste, this is another way to go about it. For this method, I've picked a song from each of the albums. This will allow you to kind of choose a starting point. Listen to one of these songs. I'll put it here. Whoa. For Pablo Honey, I choose Blowout. I think it's the best song on that album. The Bends, Fake Plastic Trees, great song. For OK Computer, I picked Paranoid Android. You can kind of get a full taste of maybe what the rest of that album can sound like. For Kid A, I chose Everything in Its Right Place. I think it's just the perfect album opener, and I think it really does introduce you to how that album will sound. For Amnesiac, I chose Pyramid Song because it's a banger. For Hail to the Thief, I chose There There. It's my personal favorite song off the album. For In Rainbows, I chose two. What? I chose Jigsaw Falling Into Place because that's my favorite song by them, period. And I think that it is a really good way to get into them. Just that song. Listen to that song and you'll be like, holy shit, this is awesome. Or Weird Fishes. This is like, it's more chill and beautiful. It's a great song. It was voted as the best song by Radiohead by my chat during a stream. I disagree with them. I think it's Jigsaw, but whatever. It doesn't matter. For King of Limbs, I chose Lotus Flower. I think this song is really pretty. For A Moonshaped Pool, I chose Daydreaming. I think it is incredibly sad and really sets the stage for how the album sounds. Depending on what you liked from there, I've made this janky graph. Graphic design is my passion. This is basically where to go next. So if you like one of those songs and you listen to the album and you like a certain aspect of it, either if you like its rockiness, if you like the beat boops, if you like that it talks about political shit, if you like that it's sad, or if you want it to be pretty, I kind of did these very basic categories, and the size of the box next to it shows how much of that, or like how heavy that aspect is. I know this is a stupid way to do a graph, and I could have done it a lot better, but I make Radiohead videos. What do you want from me? So like, for example, with In Rainbows, you see that the pink box is very big. That means the album's very pretty. Kid A's is a little bit thinner. It's a little thing. There's some pretty moments on it, but it's maybe not completely pretty. So do you understand what I'm going for here? Yeah, I hope so. This way, it allows you to just choose between what you actually want from the band, and you can go on from there. This is my personal way on how I'd do it, or have a friend do it, and it's just to start within Rainbows. I think it's by far their most accessible record, and it shows off aspects of everything else that they've done, and it's a good place to start because depending on what you like about this, you can easily find other albums that have aspects like that on it. To follow this graph, just follow where I put start, and you can follow where the arrows go to. If you want more rock, you can go to OK Computer. If you want more electronic sounding stuff, Kid A, and so on. This is similar to how I listened to the band for the first time. I started within Rainbows, then OK Computer, and then just kind of jumped around from there. I just think this is a good way to go about it because, I don't know, it'll get you into the band faster, in my opinion. If you're not an album person, which I guess I can understand, I made a couple playlists on stream a couple weeks ago with my chat that have the songs sorted by different vibes. So if you want something more fast-paced and energetic, we have the banger playlists. Also, these all include both main album songs and B-sides, which B-sides haven't been talked about for any of the other methods, so this is actually somewhat of an interesting way to go about it. After this is the Radiohead But No Head playlist, which is just all sad songs. This is perfect if you're down bad and want something to listen to. There's also the Radiohead Vibes playlist. This is songs that are sort of in between the two and are sort of a way to get in all the songs that are really good but don't quite fit either of those vibes. Last but not least is the S tier playlist, which is every song that me and my chat ranked as S tier during my stream where we ranked every single Radiohead song. I think the benefits of the playlist is just more exposure to the B-sides, which you wouldn't really get from listening to the normal album versions, and you just might miss otherwise. Now, if you are still here and want more, whether you listen to all the albums already or the playlist, or you've already listened to Radiohead and you're just curious how I'm suggesting how people do this, I have a couple of suggestions for offshoot bands that the band has done that you can check out as well. There's things like the vocalist of the band, Tom York, has some solo stuff out that you can go check out. There's also the band The Smile, which features two of Radiohead's members, Tom York and Johnny Greenwood. This stuff's a little bit closer to how Radiohead sounds than I think maybe Tom York's solo stuff, but it's fun. There's also Atoms for Peace, which is another project led by Tom York. Ed O'Brien, one of Radiohead's guitarists, also has some solo stuff out, and Phil Selway, their drummer, just recently, I believe, put out some solo material. And that about wraps it up for me. If you're new and want to go try one of these methods, let me know what you think of the band. Let me know what the method did for you or how you went about it. If you've already been a fan for a bit and you just want to, see how I recommended shit, let me know how you would do it. Tell me in the comments how you would have people listen to music or how you did your journey in the first place for listening to this band. Either way, this has been Stemp. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.